Same AS means?
From one AS to another AS, if it is going, then if it is getting the prefixes from the same AS number, it will discard it.
No. That is
It
not
will advert.
the rule of.
Yeah, it will advertise. Okay.
It advertises with the what we call that
No. There is no any concept of advertise.
same source.
सर
It will
सर
advertise
सर
in the
मुझे
same
पता है
source.
सर
There is one
सर
rule
अगर वो
that whenever
एएस लेंथ में अगर कोई प्रीफिक्स लेना हो रहा
loop avoidance rule is what?
है
Whenever
विद द
router
सेम
will
एएस
receive.
नंबर
No. When router will receive update message with their own AS number, then it will discard it. That is loop avoidance mechanism in case of eBGP. If router is receiving update message where their own AS number is available. If let's say I am the BGP router and I am receiving one update message and my AS number is 10 and same AS number is present in update message also, then even I am not going to check what prefixes are there in the update. I will simply discard it. First I will check the attributes, and AS path is one BGP attribute. Soon we are going to understand that also. That is loop avoidance mechanism in case of eBGP. And loop avoidance mechanism in case of iBGP is do not advertise prefixes to your iBGP neighbor which you are receiving from other iBGP neighbor. So between three routers, prefixes can not be exchanged by default if we are running same AS on all the router. And what is the next hop rule in case of iBGP? Next hop rule.
Sir, if a BGP router advertising the prefix to eBGP, then it did not change the next hop IP address.
In case of eBGP, it will change the next hop IP address. For eBGP neighbor, router will always modify
Yes,
the
sir. Yes,
next
it
hop.
will change.
For
Yes, sir.
iBGP,
IGP it will not change.
yes. And when BGP router is advertising a prefixes to, let's say, their other iBGP neighbor, will it include the AS number? Will it add the AS number in AS path attribute?
No.
And when router is
No, sir,
advertising
no.
to eBGP?
Yes, it will
Then it
include.
will add.
Because see now within the AS, if I have 10 number of routers for an example, so here AS attribute is not going to be work because all the devices belongs to single AS. When this path attribute will be used? When we have multiple AS between source and. So there is no any logic of advertising their own AS the iBGP neighbor as well. Okay. And guys, in the last I have given you the lab. So how many of you have configured that lab? How many of you are able to ping from 10 subnet to 50 subnet? 10.1.1.0 to 50.1.1.0. I remember the lab even. I think there was 5 router and BGP AS number was running on router number 1 and BGP AS number 200 was running on rest all the. How many of you have configured that lab? Please confirm. If ping is not working, then also you can let me know, so that I will perform the same lab here. Otherwise, what is the logic of doing same lab again here? Right? We will move to the next topic. This was the lab. Right? Karthi? What happened?
Sir, yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Are you done with this lab?
I'm so sorry, sir. Today I was very busy with the office work.
Oh.
I couldn't.
Okay. What about other? Manjunath?
No, sir, I didn't had office work.
Anyone? So let's continue with this lab. Or can you guys do it tomorrow?
Sure,
Mm,
sir. Sure, sir.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Tomorrow we will do.
Because there is nothing, right? There is no logic of spending time again on the same lab. You guys can.
Sir.
By the way, there are some concept, but I want to that late. But Nabil is saying yes. Okay, Nabil, let's do. One person is comfortable. We'll do the. So for the IP configuration, I am going to use Notepad. On router number 1, there are two interfaces. Config interface F0/0 no search, and you tell me the IP address at least. IP address
10.1.
12.
Okay, on this 12.1.1. Yeah, 12.1.1.2.
Interface F1/0
10.1.1.
10.1
255.
255
0.
then router BGP
Router PG
100
100. Yeah.
neighbor
Neighbor 12.2.
12.1.1.2. Yes.
What is that? 200.
200.
Any other command work?
Network command.
10.1.1.0 mask 255
255, 255.0.
anything else?
No, sir.
No. Figure all. After the configuration, directly I am going to check communicate, right? And then step by step we will the extra config. On router number 2, here I need to change IP
12.2.
12.2, and on F1/0 it is
23.2.
23 dot
2. AS number 200.
command is even not required. AS number 200 and remote AS 100.
100.
Copy.
Sir, neighbor we need to
That
change.
neighbor
Told that
have
one
to
that
change.
So over here we have two neighbors.
Neighbor 12.1
One more neighbor is there, sir.
neighbor 23.1.1
3.
mode yes
200.
okay. Then R3 IP over here is dot
3.
P 4.4 34.1
3, sir. 3.
4 per IP
23.2 and 34.4. R5. Oh, sorry, R4.
R4 24.4
Sir, 20. No, sir, not 23. It's 34.4.
4 here
Slash 45.4.
neighbor IP
34.3
and 45.5.
The remote AS is 200.
See the notification message. Sir, to the
For both.
on router number 3 also you have to correct.
Yes, sir.
Router BGP 200. So run
Type section.
section.
नो कर दिया आपने उसमें आके 200 yes, now it's correct.
On router number 5
5.
fast 45.1.5
5 1 slash 0
50.1
50.1
router BGP rate per
सर 50.1 होगा ना
45.4 work 50.1.1.0 mask 55 to 55
0
Again, remote AS 2.
सर रिमोट एस 100 और 200 होएगा
paste kar. Oh, hi. So. Okay. Let me check the BGP table. So IP. So in the BGP table, you can see only 50 subnet is there. 10 subnet is not there, right?
Yep.
And which is connected to router number 1. Why this prefix is only valid? Soon it will become best. Best also. Wait for some time. So IP face if. Soon this prefix will become best also in the BGP table. After that it will advertise to R4. Right now here on router number 4. So IP. Here I don't have even 50 and 10.
सर नेबरशिप देख लीजिए एक बार इनकी
So IP neighbor or some neighborship है. Okay.
2 minutes prefix received is 0 from both neighbors.
But R4 is soon going to receive one prefix. This prefix from router number 5.
We
Soon
need
here
to
this
disable
prefix.
the static something, sir.
No.
Like these routers are directly connected, no?
I have only enabled the BGP on all the routers. Here you can see the configuration of R5. We have similar
Yes,
configuration on
yesterday
all
also
the
it was
routers.
taking some time. After you disable this static, it got connected same time.
No, that is not required here, brother. And I have not configured anything. I have just enabled the BGP. Yes or no? No any extra configuration.
Yes.
Here subnet is 4.1.1.0/2.
4 45
45 04, right? So I have configured the neighborship with physical IP address because guys there is only one path, right? No logic to create
with the loopback.
Okay. Now you can see on router number 5 in the BGP table I have this subnet. This subnet is valid as well as best. So it is going to advertise to R4. So here show IP BGP. Here also you can see this prefix is present in the
Yes,
BGP table and valid and best. So it will install in routing table also. This prefix is valid as well as best. So it will install it in routing table also. Now will R4 advertise it to R3? Will R4 advertise this for 50
Yes.
subnet? No.
Yes.
No, no.
No, sir.
No.
It will not advertise.
Here on the R3, so IP, BGP you can see. 50 is not there, na? This is 10.1.1.0 coming from R1. Here
Correct.
again we have issues. Next hop IP address is not reachable. Right? So R4 is not advertising 50 subnet to R3 because both are there iBGP neighbor. R5 is also iBGP neighbor, R3 is also iBGP
Okay. Okay.
neighbor. Right? Here I have one very easy solution. I can tell you. You can do one more thing. You can form one BGP neighborship between R5 and R3 also. Then R5 will advertise to both the neighbor. If R3 is their neighbor, then R5 will directly advertise to R3. But by default, if we are running BGP
It
over
will
here
not.
and one over here only, then it will not advertise. R3 will not have 50 sub. Here I have to break the speed horizon rule, or you can say BGP iBGP loop avoidance. Now let's talk about R1. On R1, I will not have 50 subnet in BGP table. Yes, you can see 50 subnet is not there, but their directly connected subnet is their 10.1.1. Okay. R1, will R1 advertise it to R2? Yes. Yes. So
Yes.
show IP BGP. Here you can see 10 subnet is there. Will R3 advertise it to will R2 advertise it to R3?
No.
Yes.
How many of you are saying no?
Yes, it will advertise.
This time R2 is
Yes.
receiving
Yes.
prefix from their eBGP neighbor, not from their iBGP neighbor. Router 2 is receiving prefixes to their eBGP neighbor. So IP BGP neighbor. Which type of neighbor 12.1 is?
External.
So definitely it will advertise to their iBGP neighbor, right? Here you can check. So IP BGP neighbor and 23.1.1.3 advertise route. So it is advertising this subnet. On R1, R3 you can check. So IP BGP neighbor and 23.1.1.2 receive route.
So soft इंस्टॉलेशन
Route.
करनी पड़ेगी.
हाँ जो भी, but you can use these types of. So on R3, so IP BGP you can see 10 subnet is there. But guys, will R2 modify the next hop IP address while advertising to R3? When R2 will advertise this prefix to R3, will it modify the next hop?
No, sir.
No. Whenever BGP advertise prefixes to their iBGP neighbor, it does not modify the next hop address. So that's why on router number 3, so IP BGP. Next hop is not reachable. That's why this prefix is only valid, not text. So router will not install it in
Routing table.
Routing table.
now. See, let's understand the iBGP loop avoidance mechanism in detail. Right, guys, there is one concept behind loop avoidance mechanism. Previous class. Here is the loop avoidance mechanism in case of iBGP, correct? You know what is the concept? Concept is, for iBGP, there are 3 types of router. First of all, before that, we can introduce one word with BGP, that is called route
Reflector.
reflector. If you will ask me in easy language, but full, what can be the definition of route reflector? Like, what is route reflector? So I can say it is used to break iBGP loop avoidance or mechanism, a rule or mechanism. How we can break the loop avoidance mechanism with the help of route reflector? So guys, to understand that, you have to keep in mind one thing, that we have 3 types of router in route reflector. In route reflector we have 3 types of router. First one is route reflector server. route reflector server. Second one is route reflector client, and third one is route reflector non-client. There you can remember it like there are three types of router for in case of iBGP. One is route reflector server, one is route reflector client, and another one is route reflector non-client. And by default, all the routers are server. All the routers are server, and all their neighbors are non-client. For an example, in my case, R3. R3 is server itself. Server, and they are both the neighbor. They are two neighbor, two iBGP neighbor. Both the neighbors are non-client. Non-client. For any router, for R2, R2 is server and their neighbor is non-client. R4 is server and their both neighbors are non-client. R5 server, their neighbor is non-client. By default, this is by default behavior in all the servers, all the routers are server router and their neighbors are on. And rule is actually, what is the
All
definition?
routers in iBGP, right?
Yes, in iBGP. And guys, actual rule is not this one. In the last class, what I told you, the loop avoidance mechanism is whenever do not advertise prefixes to iBGP which you have received from other iBGP. Now I am going to change the definition. Right? Definition is a server router neighbor advertise prefixes received prefixes to non-client neighbor. A server neighbor advertise prefixes to non-client neighbor which is by other non-client So what is happening over here? R3, for an example, R3. R2 is advertising this subnet, 10 subnet to R3. R3 is not advertising to R4. Reason? This router is server, their neighbors are non-client. So it is receiving prefixes from non-client neighbor. So it will not advertise to other non-client neighbor. If I am going to tell to router number 3 that bro, your this neighbor is not non-client, your this neighbor is client, it will start advertising the prefix. Or I can say what? Your neighbor is this neighbor, router 2 is not non-client, it is client. So again it will advertise prefixes received from client neighbor to other non-client neighbor. Right?
But
On
sir, I
R
have a
number
question.
2 also I can say. Yeah, go ahead.
Sir, you have said by default all routers in iBGP are server. So server to server, it should forward, right?
Non-client. In all the case except this case, prefixes will be forward. Like if neighbor is client, server, and no, yes, prefix will be server, neighbor is server, prefix will advertise. Neighbor is
Correct.
non-client, server, client, advertise. In this case only prefixes will be not advertise. And which is the
Means-
by default configuration. Why? For loop avoidance in case of iBGP. Why you are going to change their neighbor mode? Because you know here loop cannot form. Because you only know this. If topology is in circular, then I cannot break this rule. Otherwise, there will be loop. So to avoid the loop in case of iBGP, whenever we have redundancy, redundant path, We have this rule, and whenever we know the loop cannot form in the topology, then we can break this rule. I have multiple options. Either I can say your this neighbor is client or this neighbor is client. In both cases, it will advertise the prefix.
So repeat this point again, sir.
What I am saying, if I have topology like this, R1, R2, and R3. Here I have one subnet 10.1.1.0/24. So R1 will advertise to this router also. This router will advertise to R3. And what if R3 will also advertise to R1? This is loop.
Correct.
To avoid this loop, what I did here, I configure all the routers as server, and their neighbors are non-client. So now R1 will advertise prefixes to server, but server cannot advertise to other non-client because it is receiving from non-client.
Correct.
R3 will not receive prefixes from router number 3. But if you want to advertise prefixes to router number 3 from R2, then you can tell to router number 2, your neighbor is not non-client, your neighbor is client.
We have to tell server that R3 is your client.
Yes,
Okay.
server to their neighbor. By default, it is non-client. But in this case, you cannot say your neighbor is non-client. Here, if you will configure this, then loop will occur here, loop will form. Okay, so guys, here R1 is advertising 10 submit to router number 2 because it is their eBGP neighbor, but R2 is not advertising to, sorry, R2 is advertising to R3, but R3 is not advertising to R4. So I can tell to R3 that your neighbor is non-client, this neighbor is non-client. Another problem is R5 is advertising 50 subnet to R4, but R4 is not advertising to
R3.
R3. So here I can say you are the server and your neighbor is
Client.
So let me take you to router number 4 and let me say your neighbor is client. Router number 4, router BGP 200 and neighbor. What is the neighbor IP address? 34.1.1.3
34.3.
1.3.
and route reflector. Neighbor is route reflector client. Now you can see BGP neighborship is resynchronized, and now on router number 3 you can check to IP 50 subnet is there. But guys, this is not
Best.
Best.
even router 4 has started getting 10
10.
subnet. So this is the benefit of configuring client neighbor on router number 4. See, if I am going to see here, your neighbor is, this neighbor is
Client.
right? So whatever prefixes it will receive from client, it will advertise to non-client, that is fine. But router 4 will not advertise 50 subnet to router number 3. But in this case, router 3 is also advertising and router 4 is also advertising. How router 4 is advertising now? Router is server and their neighbor is, as I have already told, to router number 4.
Non-client.
Sir, you have told router 4 that your R3 is your client, right?
Yes.
So that means R4 is server.
R4 is server, so R3 will also
Yeah.
advertise, na? That's why here I
Yeah,
have 10 subnet.
R4 will receive the routes.
R4 will receive. But now R4 will not advertise it to
R5.
R5
Non-client.
because two region. One is non-client, another region is, here you can see this prefix is only valid, not best. So BGP only advertise which are valid as well as best to their neighbor. BGP never advertise valid prefixes. Now another thing, how to make reachability for next hop. How to make reachability for next hop.
Next hop self command.
Okay, next hop self. We have one option, guys, that is next hop self, but Next hop self command can be enabled on edge router only. Edge router means router 2. Router 2 is your edge router here. The first router in AS number 200. First router in AS number 200 is your edge router R2. So on R2 only you can run next hop self command. What about R3, R4? Let's talk about here. 10 subnet on router number 1. Router 2 is advertising. R1 is advertising to R2. Here we have 10 subnet which is valid as well as best because next hop is 12.1 which is reachable from R2.
Correct.
Now R2 will advertise it to R3 but next hop is. So that's why this prefix is only valid, not best. So here first option over here is I can add one route in the routing table of R3 for this IP address. I can configure IP
Route 12.1.
yes IP route
IP route 12.1.
12.1.1
12.1.
255.255.255 exit interface
Ne-
F0/0 and next hop IP address 23.1.
1.2.
2.
Now so IP BGP next hop will be reachable and now you can see 10 submit is valid as well as best
Best.
and it will install it in their BGP. Well, now it will advertise R3 will advertise it to R4 also
Correct.
because it is valid as well as best. It will install it in the routing table also. Yes.
Mm.
So on router number 4, so IP BGP. Am I receiving?
No.
So on router number 3, I have to say neighbor is
Client.
client. Go to router BGP yes number 200 or 100.
200.
44.1.1.4 route reflector. Now on router 4, then submit is there. What is the issue guys here? Prefix is only valid, not best. What can I do?
Sir, again वो next hop should be reachable तो 12.1 का रूट डालना पड़ेगा.
एक चीज और कर सकते. Let me remove this command guys. R3 embedded the route na. So I'm going to
Correct.
sorry. Remove this command and on router 2 I can run next hop self command.
Self.
So this is my border router. Router BGP yes number 200 and neighbor.
So border means you mean to say CP router.
First router which is
P-
connecting the
External
yes.
layers.
Yes.
Okay.
Neighbor 23.2 and next hop.
So
Can't
Sir,
configure
neighbor I
the-
think should be 1.3 na?
sorry.
neighbor.
Neighbor 23 1.3.
Okay.
Yes.
Now router 2 will update the next hop. Go to router number 3 and check BGP table now. So IP BGP. Next hop is still 12.2. Here IP star soft. Now next hop IP is reachable 23.2 router 2 IP address, right? That's why prefix is valid as well as best. So
Best.
IP route BGP. Route done. On router number 4, so IP BGP. But here still we have issue because 23 subnet is not reachable. First option I can configure one a static route here. What can be the second option? Second option can be guys, can I advertise this submit in BGP over here? BGP is already running. So if I will advertise this submit in BGP, router 2 will include it in their update message and it will advertise to router number 3. Router 3 will advertise to router number 4. So router 4 will have route. That can be also one option, second option. But generally we are not advertising link of router into BGP. You will never use
Correct.
it in real time in the production
Fine.
environment. Even the static routing is not the
Solution.
solution, right? These are the possible methods only. Just to teach you the concept, I am covering it, right? We will be not using it. I will tell you what we will. The two options are there. What can be the third option? Third option is the best option which we are using.
Route map.
Route map. Through route map, we can change the next hop IP address. So here we have three options total. A static route. Make sure default route, you will not configure the default route. Default route will not work. Default route, because same route should be there in the routing table.
Correct.
Okay. So on R4, I have one option that is a static route, IP route 23.1.1. Sorry, yeah, 23.1.1.2 and 255 255 255.255 exit interface F0
0
slash
slash 0.
so IP BGP. Now route is there, that's why you can see 10 submit is best. We remove it, and on router number 3 or router number 2 I can advertise this submit in BGP.
सर 2 पे
Router
करिए सर,
यहाँ पे
2 पे ही करिए सर, एज राउटर पे ही चलते हैं बिकॉज अभी तक नेक्स्ट ऑफ सेल भी हमने 2 पे ही करा और ये भी
so router की 100 and
200
network
200
23.1.1. mask 255 dot. Right now throughout the AS we will have this IP address. Right?
as a
So
next
on
op.
as a next, not this IP
Next.
address in the routing table. This
Right.
IP address will be reachable. So IP route 23.1.1. So here IP are swapped in
2 पे ही मारिए
.1.1. So again here next hop is
23.2
23.2. That's why here we have issue. So I cannot advertise it on router number 2. Then again I have to configure route, because still next hop is not reachable, because guys in case of iBGP router 3 will not update the next hop, right? So with same next hop router 4 is getting prefix. So let me say here router 200 and
yes
this one. Sorry, and on router number 3 I'm going to say router BGP 200 and network 23.1.1.0 mask 55255 dot. On R4 so IP
BGP
done. Why? Because so IP route and 23.1.1.0. This prefix is in table, right? And next of IP address is 3. So IP BGP also now 23.2 is reachable. Okay. Now go to R5 so IP BGP. On R5 then submit is there, but next hop is
23.2
not reachable,
and why 23 is also not best of sir?
because here you can see the next hop for 23 prefix. Next hop is R3 IP address is not reachable from R5. So either you can configure a static route for this IP address, then this prefix will become best, and
Or
this prefix
advertise.
will become best. This next hop will become reachable, and this prefix will become best.
Or I can advertise 34.3 on R4.
Yes. Now even I am going to remove here on R3, going to remove this command. Now I am going to use actual method. Okay, now you can configure it. You can make reachability between 10 and 50 by adding the route. Here we only need to add route in the routing table, doesn't matter. Even you can configure any IGP protocol on all the WAN link. On all the WAN link I can configure here OSPF, here also OSPF, and here also OSPF. First we have break the rule of route reflector, and after that we can enable the IGP protocol so that all these IP addresses will become reachable with each other.
So, sir, just for the revision, which router we have made client and server or non-client?
R4 is your server and their neighbor is client. This neighbor is client. R3 is server, there this neighbor is.
सर आपस में फिर वो कंफ्यूज नहीं हो जाएंगे कि मेरे को भी आप ने क्लाइंट कह रहे हो और मैं भी आपको क्लाइंट कह रहा हूँ?
बाय डिफॉल्ट सारे राउटर सर्वर ही होते हैं, उसका रोल आप नहीं चेंज कर सकते हो।
ओके।
नेबर क्या है बस ये बता सकते हो। R3 के लिए इसका नेबर क्या है, खुद सर्वर है और उसका नेबर क्लाइंट है। R4 खुद सर्वर है, उसका नेबर ये क्लाइंट है। बस बोल रहा हूँ।
ओके।
यही तो जरूरत भी है यहाँ पे पूरे सिनारियो में।
हाँ सर।
R2 तो एडवर्टाइज करवाएगा ही, R5 तो एडवर्टाइज करवाएगा ही, यहीं पे तो एडवर्टाइज नहीं हो रहा था। The third option is route map. So let's say start the third method with third method is route map. Whenever, see, I can tell to router number 4 that whenever you will receive any prefix from your neighbor from R3, please put next hop this one, any IP address. This one means you can assign the IP address there. For an example, here I have removed everything, removed, nothing is there, nothing is there. Now again R1, so IP BGP fine. On R2, so IP BGP 10 is there only. On R3, so IP 10 and 50 both are there. 10 and 50 both are there, but 40 subnet is on R4. 45 subnet is not reachable, so IP here 10 subnet is not. So can I tell to R4 that bro, whenever you are going to advertise this 50 subnet to R3, set next hop what 34.4, which is reachable from router number 3? Yes or no? Yes, we can do it with the help of route map. Or another option is I can tell to router number 3 that whenever you are going to receive this 50 subnet from router number 4, set next hop what 34.4. Both will work for you. Either you can configure next hop while advertising route from R4 or next hop while receiving the route on R3. So you tell me which method you want to configure, which route map, in which direction you want to configure the route map. If you are going to implement route map on router number 3, direction is going to be in. If you are going to apply it on router number 4, direction is going to be out. In out direction, it will use the next hop. R4. Yes, let's do. Route map and name of route map. Tell me the any name route map. Let's say next hop for BGP. For BGP, and then permit, I can define any sequence number and say set IP next hop, IP next hop. What should be the next hop, guys? 34.1.1.4, correct?
So 3.
Sir, 3 should be, I think.
Hey, when R4 is going to advertise 50 subnet to R3, next hop should be exit interface IP address.
Self IP address.
This
Yeah.
IP address, na. How local IP address can be the next hop?
Correct.
Mm-hmm. Right. 34 total.
So 34.1.1.4, and that's it. Everything is done. Next hop is okay. It is giving warning that next hop is our IP address.
All right. Yes.
Yes. Now go to router BGP, yes, number 200, and I am saying neighbor. Who is neighbor? 34.1.1.3, and just do one thing for this particular neighbor. Use route map. Which route map? This route map. When I spelling of next. In which direction?
Out direction.
So now after running this command, whatever prefixes router 4 will advertise to this neighbor, it will to this route map. It will always check this route map, and this route map is telling what? That next hop IP 34.4. That's it, right? If I am not matching anything in route map, that means it will match everything. Let's enter, and then go to router number. Take clear IP. Are soft ones because BGP very slow protocol, and after that earlier next hop was
Sir,
45.
same protocol, clear IP BGP star soft out could have been used on R4, right?
Yeah, on in you can use on both router, right? If you want to refresh all the incoming prefixes over here, you can use in. If you want to refresh all the out prefixes, you can use out. And here you can see now next hop is, guys, I have not added any extra route in the routing table of router. Even I have not advertised any WAN link in the BGP. Even I have not configured any IGP protocol. Then also you can see this prefix became best and valid with the alpha plot map. This method only we will be using in the production net. Here. So now this router is going to install both in routing table. So IP route BGP 10 and 50 both are there. So IP BGP. Now 10 subnet. For 10 subnet, what is next hop? 23.2, because this is edge router. So here I have configured next hop self command. On router number 3, you cannot configure next hop self command. R5, okay, R4, R3 have the route. Then it will advertise to R2. So IP BGP. Here we have issue again. Still, next hop IP address is router 4 IP address only.
Yes.
Which you have defined in route map, but this IP address is also not
Reachable.
right?
Reachable from
So here
R2.
also I can create one route map next hop. Permit sequence number, for an example 10, set IP address 23.1.1.3, 21.1.1. set IP next hop .1.1.
सर 3 क्यों किया इसमें हमने? सेल्फ का क्यों F1/0 का क्यों नहीं लिया हमने?
जब राउटर 350 का सबनेट एडवर्टाइज करवाएगा राउटर 2, नेक्स्ट हॉप ये रहेगा ना। मैं इस
सर ये
route
तो
map
10
को
के लिए
इन
कर रहे हैं
डायरेक्शन
ना?
में नहीं, ये मैं 50 के लिए कर रहा हूँ। तो
हाँ
50,
हाँ
50 subnet is now reachable till R3, but it is not reachable on R4. So that's why here I have created the route map. Okay, I'm going to set IP address of R3 as next hop.
सर वो समझ आ गया, बट वहां से एडवर्टाइज करा तो उसने F0/0 को किया था नेक्स्ट हॉप फॉर R3, और जब R3 से रिसीव करना है
जब
R2
R4
पे
R3 को एडवर्टाइज करा तो ये नेक्स्ट हॉप, जब R3 R2 को एडवर्टाइज करेगा तो ये नेक्स्ट हॉप। अगर मैं
Sir,
50.1
sir,
को पिंग करने जा
sir,
रहा हूँ,
same route map could have been used on R3, correct? R3 पे भी एक route map लगा देते कि उसका next stop F0/0
हाँ,
हो,
और डायरेक्शन में फिर उसको कॉल
right?
कर देते।
Out direction में कर देते, बस that's it. वही बस पूछ
दोनों कुछ भी काम करेगा ना, मैंने बताया ना
ठीक,
पहले।
जी 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 जी.
Neighbor, any other question?
No.
Right? And call route map of your route. Here I have to say in then clear IP BGP so IP done. Router 2 will definitely advertise it to now R1. So IP route BGP, it have installed it BGP table, routing table, and now it will advertise to R1. So on router number 1 also you can see 50 subnet is. And when R2 will advertise 50 subnet to R1, it will modify the next hop because R1 is there, eBGP neighbor. So that's why IP address of R2 is the next hop. So now we have path to reach in 50 subnet from router number 1. What about the reverse path? On router number 2, so IP route BGP. 10 subnet is there. On router number 2, we can verify the BGP table also. Then next hop is 12.1.
12.1, correct.
On router number 3, so IP BGP. Next hop is 23.2 because we have configured here next hop self command. Right? So it is also going to install both the route in their BGP routing table, and it will advertise to their neighbor R4. So IP BGP. 50 subnet is there, but 10. Next hop is next hop reachable.
No.
Right? So on R3 I can configure one route map in odd direction, or I can configure one route map in direction on R4. Tell me where you want to create the route map.
R4 पे कर लेते हैं because we have already created one route map in direction के लिए.
R3 पे, R3 के R4.
R4 पे कर लेते हैं सर, in direction में.
Route map ABC, any name. IP next, set IP next hop. What will be the next hop? 34.1.1.3. Router BGP, S number 200. Neighbor 34.1.1.3. Route map ABC direction.
In.
IP here. Done. Now
Yes,
will
sir.
R4 advertise it to R5?
Yes, sir.
But same.
Not the best. Not the best.
So on router number 5 also I can create one. Route map C set IP. Next hop 45.1.1.4. Hit router BGP 100 neighbor 45.1.1.4 route map ABC here. Now can these two subnet communicate?
Yes, sir.
Source 10.1.1. Thing is
Working.
working. Okay. So you have
सर इज इट द बेस्ट सॉल्यूशन? बिकॉज हमने तो 5-6 राउट मैप लगा दिए.
हाँ 50 भी लगा दे, कोई यही सॉल्यूशन है।
सर मतलब एक क्वेश्चन है सर मेरा, सर ये तो मतलब छोटी सी टोपोलॉजी है, तो अगर सर लाइव प्रोडक्शन नेटवर्क में तो सर बहुत इम्पॉसिबल होता होगा ये,
लाइव
मतलब
नेटवर्क में
इतना सारा
एक एस
कॉन्फ़िगरेशन करना.
लाइव नेटवर्क में एक एस नंबर में इस तरीके से आपके पास 4 राउटर बहुत ही कम सिनारियो में दिखेगा, जब नेटवर्क की साइज बहुत बड़ी होगी।
ओह.
समझ रहे हैं?
Sir,
हम्म.
sir,
This is
can you tell in English? Just now you tell.
what he is saying, that in the real time, if my network size is going to be very large, then it is going to be
Okay.
very complicated. So I am
Yes,
saying
correct.
in the production time, you will not have lots of router in single.
राउटर के नीचे सिर्फ स्विच लगा होगा.
और अगर ऐसा होगा भी, whenever you will have lots of devices and you are running same BGP, same AS number, right? Then we have one concept of peer group. Through peer group, we can make this configuration easy. For each neighbor, I have run then lots of commands, so I can create one peer group. I have one topology, the same topology where I will create the peer group also. Otherwise, you need to configure lots of commands, same commands for multiple neighbors. But in the series like this, you will never have design the network. If 4 routers are there in the same ES number, that means this is ISP network, SP network, very large network.
So sir, how would ISP manage all this? By creating
ISP
route map
configure
only?
BGP between PE to PE only ना.
नहीं सर, अपने नेटवर्क ओके वहां पे वो
ऐसे कॉन्फ़िगर नहीं होगा ना BGP, मैंने क्या बताया था, अंदर में क्या चल रहा होगा, कोई IGP प्रोटोकॉल.
IGP.
Even why we are using IGP protocol for the redundancy. If we have single route, you don't need to configure protocol. You can configure a static route is the best route. Guys, this is not the reason of menu. This is not the reason of not implementing a static route because of manual configuration. That is fine, but the main reason is automatic failover is not possible in a static route. So whenever we have multiple paths between source and destination, we have to configure routing protocol there. A static route, if we have scenario like this, let's say in my company, why I will configure any routing protocol here? Right? Not required. A static route is much better. A static route is not going to use even any memory. Only they need to
Correct.
install the route in routing table. Routing protocols are going to consume lots of memory on the router. It is process. You are enabling extra process. But if we have multiple paths, we have topology like this R1, R2, R3, and R4. Here a static route failed. Here we cannot implement a static route. Because if upper link, if let's say over this path I have configured the route, what if router 2 will go down? I have to change the static route here. So whenever we have redundancy, we have to configure IGP. We will not have this kind of scenario by the industry.
Sir, we could have done created a BGP iBGP neighborship between R2 and R5 directly and वो चला जाता, right?
हाँ,
वो
R5
R
R5 का जो
R
नेबर आईपी एड्रेस आप बता रहे हो ना, उसका राउट होना चाहिए यहाँ पे बस. Whatever IP address you are defining in the neighbor command, that for that IP address, route should be available. That's it. If we are saying neighbor 5.5.5 or 45.1.1.5, right? To send SYN message to this neighbor, route must be there, na? Then only BGP neighborship will come up.
Then in that case, again, we have to create a static route between R2 and R3, R3 and R4, R5 and R5 to make this 5.5 reachable
For
from
indirect
R2.
neighborship, that's why I'm saying configure IGP protocol. For indirect neighborship, you will be always using IGP. See, you are working professional, right? In real time, in every scenario, you will see both the protocol is running. OSPF is also OSPF also, BGP also.
Correct. Simultaneously, it is running.
Right? Reason, we have always BGP neighborship with indirectly connected router. In most of the cases, in 80% cases, you will have indirectly connected BGP, right? And for the reachability, you will be using.
So,
Sometimes
sir,
you
with
will.
the ISP, sir, mostly because in enterprise network we have to deal with this R2 only, right? And then the LAN network. Or maybe there can be two edge routers. That's it, right?
The design of one branch, na brother? And like this, if multiple branches are connected,
Yeah, got it. But we get a trouble ticket for this. Suppose this 10 dot is not reachable from us, or some user from 50 subnet is not able to reach to this 10 network, right? So we have two edge routers, R2 and maybe you can say R6, and then the LAN network of 50, basically switch and everything. So in that case, we have to do the path manipulation or something like that. Or sir, उस case में फिर we cannot use iBGP, IGP protocol, right, between ISP and us. वहाँ पे I have seen, sir, I have seen default route the people configure.
yeah, they people configure the default route. Let's say this is my topology, guys, and between router 1 and router 2, there is ISP, and over ISP, I have created the tunnel where I am running this subnet. Right? This is side 1, this is side 2, this is side 3, side 4. Here also there is ISP, and over ISP, I have created the tunnel where I am running this subnet. Here also ISP is there, I have created the tunnel, and I'm running this subnet. So in this case, we need to exchange all the LAN prefixes to all the sites. That can be also the scenario, na brother?
Correct, correct, correct.
So between all the sites, I am running what? BGP routing protocol. Maybe I have lots of prefixes, need to exchange. When we have multiple path, see, for the multiple path, now our next topic is indirect neighborship only, right? Indirect neighborship, we are going to understand what we have if we have multiple paths between source and destination. This is commonly like rarely used scenario, and this is commonly used scenario. Indirect neighborship. Indirect neighborship, first of all, I have to learn one thing. Let's say I have two router only, R1, R2. Both are directly connected, and on the both router I have one. Here my loopback is 1.1.1.1. Here my loopback is 2.2. How to configure iBGP and how to configure eBGP between 1.1.1 and 2.2.2, not between physical IP address. This is first scenario. You have to understand some concept here. After that, between three routers, and here two types of BGP we need to implement: iBGP and
eBGP.
eBGP. In both cases, we have to see what will
Happen.
So let's start indirect neighborship. Guys, I'm not going to discuss here the requirement. You already know the requirement of configuring BGP with loopback IP address. Let's say between router 1 and router 2, I have multiple paths. Correct? So in that case, you know the benefit of configuring BGP through loopback. Until and unless one single path is up between 1.1.1 and 2.2.2, we will have BGP neighborship. That is the benefit. And on router number 1, I am not going to say neighbor IP address 12.2. I am going to say neighbor 2.2.2. So let's see BGP indirectly connected neighborship in case of iBGP first. ES number 200 here and ES number 100 and 100. On both the router ES number is 100. So let me do one thing. Let me delete this section from here.
सर सेव किया था आपने ये जीनिस3?
First, in case of iBGP, and here you have to run some extra command, and then in case of eBGP. Here also you have to run some extra command. First of all, see, after enabling, we पहले route. First of all, guys, route 1.1.1 and 2.2.2 must be
Reachable from each other.
able from each other. So I can call any IGP 50 face F0/0 that IP address 12.1.1.1 255.255.255.0 IP OSPF work point to
Point
point
IP OSPF
IP
1 area
OSPF 1 area
0.
face loopback 1 IP address 1.1.1 255.255.255.255 F1.
Area 0. 0.
See the only configuration.
So router ID and OSPF process 1.
Router OSPF 1 router ID 1.1.1.1, right? Then router BGP yes number 100 and neighbor 2.2.2.2 and remote AS 100.
100.
This is the only configuration on router number 1, right?
Correct.
So let me copy. All command accepted. Will not configure the router ID. It will take 1.1.1 only as a router ID. Loopback IP. The router ID is also going to be 1.1.1 here. Then on router number 2, here I am going to say 12.2. Loopback IP address is going to be 2.2.2. And OSPF router ID I am going to say, let's say 2.2.2.2 and BGP 100 neighbor IP address I am going to say 1.1.1. Copy. अभी कोई बता दो अगर कमांड में कोई गलती है, फिर जब पेस्ट कर दूंगा
Fine.
फाइन है. मेरे से बहुत मिस्टेक होता है.
सर आप फास्ट करते हो ना.
मैं अपने पे विश्वास ही नहीं. मुझे लगेगा कि 2.2 आप बोलोगे 3.3 तो मैं 3. Okay, so we have OSPF neighborship and so IP route OSPF 1.1.1 is there. You can check the connectivity ping 2.2.2.2 and source 1.1.1.1. Through OSPF we have reachability, right? Now so IP BGP but never is
Idle state.
in ideal state. Why guys? What happened?
Sir, update source loop back.
Update source, right? Yesterday we have captured the link and then we had seen the source was 12.1. So here I need to add one command, router BGP yes number 100 and neighbor 2.2.2.2 update source back
Loop back is
1. On router number 2 also router BGP 100 neighbor 1.1.1 and update source loop back 1. इसको रन करने से पहले ही neighborship up आ गई. Neighborship is already up because once router 1 will receive SYN message with source 1.1.1, it will send SYN plus ACK to 1.1.1 and will have TCP session. Okay, done. So IP.
Sir, that's mean like TCP packet generates on physical interface.
जनरेट मतलब जाएगा तो फिजिकल इंटरफेस से ही ना. सोर्स आईपी पहले 12.1 था तो प्रॉब्लम आ रही थी. राउटर 2 जो है तो इसको रिप्लाई कर रहा था 12.1 को.
Correct.
बट उसको रिप्लाई किसको करना था 1.1.1.
Hmm.
So guys, if I need to advertise some prefixes, now I can advertise because I have BGP neighborship true.
Hello, sir.
समझ में आ गया ना? यहाँ पे तो कोई एक्स्ट्रा कमांड चलाना ही नहीं है. You need to run only one command, that is update source loopback 1. Now I am going to replace iBGP to eBGP. Okay, so let me say no router BGP 100 here, no router BGP 100, on router number 2 also no router BGP 100, and on router number 1 now say router BGP 100 and neighbor 2.2.2.2 and remote AS
200.
200. Go to router number 2, router BGP AS number 200 and neighbor 1.1.1.1 remote AS. Right. One more command, update source. So neighbor 2.2.2.2 update source loopback 1. Here my neighborship will not come up.
हाँ सर, मेरी अभी तक नहीं आई है.
अच्छा, आप कर भी लिए?
सर वो लास्ट क्लास में कराया है आपने ईबीजीपी वाला तो.
So IP summary. Neighbor is idle. So IP. Why guys? Why? Directly connected checks
Rule.
for enabled for by default enabled for
eBGP.
iBGP it was disabled. That's why there was neighborship. But for by default it is. Which
सर ये
command is
रूल क्या
running?
कहता है?
By default one command is running over here. Router BGP S number 100 and neighbor 2.2.2.2. This command is running by default.
सर ये क्या चेक कर रहा होता है बेसिकली कि डायरेक्टली कनेक्टेड कौन कौन से हैं मेरे नेबर्स?
हाँ, कि डायरेक्टली कनेक्टेड के साथ ही हम नेबरशिप फॉर्म कर सकते हैं. डायरेक्टली कनेक्टेड राउटर के साथ.
तो सर हम ये किसी एक राउटर पे चला सकते हैं तो इट विल वर्क राइट? दोनों पे चलाना पड़ेगा इन दिस केस?
चलाना पड़ेगा, दोनों पे रूल डिसेबल करना पड़ेगा.
ओके.
So let me disable it, and on router number 1 also router E200 and neighbor 1.1.1.1 disable connected check. इससे क्या होता है पता है आपको? डिसेबल कनेक्टेड चेक से मतलब क्या है? What is happening over here? We will even capture the link. Capture this link. So IP, let me What it's saying? External means eBGP. eBGP neighbor not directly connected. And for the eBGP neighbor is not directly connected, then there will be why is to for iBGP neighbor TTL value in the SYN message is going to be 255, but for eBGP neighbor TTL value is going to be, so TTL value will become so on router number 2 the SYN message.
Sir, in case of eBGP, correct? In
Case of
case of
eBGP TTL value is 1. In case of
1.
iBGP TTL value is 255. That outgoing TTL value be
सर आपने एक बार बताया था कि पैकेज जब ड्रॉप हो जाता है तो अगर टीटीएल 1 है तो फिर वो दोबारा रिट्राई करता है विद टीटीएल वैल्यू 2, देन फिर
वो
रिट्राई
तो
करता है
ट्रेस
टीटीएल
रॉड
वैल्यू
था
3।
यार,
अच्छा, ओके
वो अलग चीज क्या है, दैट इज ट्रेस रॉड, हाउ ट्रेस रॉड वर्क्स। फिर यूडीपी मैसेज था ना,
ओके।
information about outgoing TTL value for the name. For iBGP neighbor also you can check. Now simply we can disable that rule by running router BGPS number 100 command. Can I run two process of BGP on router, guys?
No,
Can I run
सर
two
एरर
process of
देगा।
OSPF
यस,
या GRP?
यस, नहीं सर, ये एजीआरपी में भी नहीं। सर कर सकते हैं एजीआरपी में भी हम।
फिर प्रोसेस
दो प्रोसेस नहीं।
एक प्रोसेस चलाने में तो राउटर की हालत खराब हो जाएगी।
करेक्ट।
100 and neighbor. Now I am expecting BGP neighborship here, and you can see the log message. Okay, so this is only extra command you need to run in case of
eBGP।
जब सोर्स और डेस्टिनेशन के बीच में दो से ज्यादा राउटर होगा, तब फिर आपको TTL वैल्यू भी क्या करना पड़ेगा,
मैनिपुलेट।
There are two concepts for eBGP. One, directly connected check by default enable, and TTL value is
1।
is we can only run by default eBGP over directly connected link. Cannot configure eBGP in case of indirectly connected. So for an example, if I have one more router here, R1, R2 and R3. R3 is also there. I am not running BGP on router number 2. I am running BGP in router 1 and router.
सर इनडायरेक्ट नेबरशिप है।
वो तो ठीक है, indirect वाला कमांड चला।
And then sir 3.3 should be reachable
On
via
router
R2।
BGP 100 face loop back 1 interface F1/0 address 23.1.1.255.255.255.0 IP OSPF network point to point IP F1 area
0।
router number config T is F0 no search point address T255.255.255.0 F1 area
1 area 0।
An interface loopback 1 IP address, for example 3.3.3.3 255.255.255.255 F1.
0.
I am expecting neighborship like reachability between 1.1.1 and 3 dot
0.
verify it here to ping 3.3.3 source dot is not working, then we have to troubleshoot what happened here. Don't have OSP of neighborship. F. So I
OSPF
interface
interface.
OSPF is enabled. Do so IP face brief 9. Interfaces are up. Go to router number 2. So IP face brief IP on F1/0 23.2, but
Interface down.
interface F1/0 no shut down. Then
अच्छा अभी neighborship. Okay. R2 पे एक बार neighborship आ गई.
supply is coming, right? Now no router BGP 100. Router BGP case number 100, neighbor 3.3.3.3 and remote AS for an example. Router number 3, router BGP case number 300, neighbor 1.1.1.1 remote AS. Will neighborship come up?
No, update source loopback.
Update source loopback 1, neighbor 3.3.3.3, update source loopback 1, router 3, neighbor 1.1.1.1, update source loopback 1. Then connected check, neighbor
Disable.
3.3.3, disable connected checks in, sorry, by default no. And neighbor 1.1.1.1, disable, will neighborship come?
Yes.
कुछ देर वेट कर लें.
हाँ सर.
मैं तो बोल के रखा हूँ कि नेबर अप नहीं है.
अच्छा आपके नो था.
Yes, sir.
मेरा
It will
yes
not
है
come up.
because सर अब तक जो पढ़ा है it should come up because indirectly connected है, update source loopback कर दिया, disable connected check, we have done it.
Sir, TTL is
TTL या hope change होगी है सर.
अगर राउटर 1 कोई
ये
मैसेज जनरेट करता है, फॉर एग्जांपल ओपन मैसेज सोर्स आईपी 1.1.1.1 डेस्टिनेशन आईपी 3.3.3 कनेक्टेड रूल तो अब चेक होगा नहीं, राइट? इट विल नॉट चेक कनेक्टेड रूल. TTL value over here is 1. It will check routing table. Route is available, it will forward to router number 2. What will be the TTL on router number 2?
0 drop.
What is the solution?
we have to increase the TTL value then.
Guys, there is
Manually.
security as well here. This security, one kind of security. You know, TTL value should be 2 here. Then you can configure 2, right? Even if someone is going to connect router 4 here, if they know your AS number R4, and if they will try to form neighborship with router number 1, they cannot form. Even they know the AS number, because here you have to extend the TTL value. Attacker can,
सर अटैकर को हमारा लुक बैक भी तो नहीं पता है R1 पे.
अगर पता चल भी गया तो कंपनी की
Okay.
छोड़ने के बाद जब जॉब छोड़ दे चलो भाई राउटर ही खोल के लेके अब देखो BGP उड़ा देते हैं.
Correct.
So to run BGP, it is not mandatory to have one router, right? Guys, ये नहीं कह रहा हूँ router पे ही सिर्फ BGP configure. If I want to form BGP neighborship, I am an attacker. I can connect my laptop here. I can install application. Through application also I can send open message of BGP. I can form BGP neighborship over my laptop as well. Any device which support routing can enable the BGP protocol. क्या BGP Cisco के राउटर पे ही चलेगा सिर्फ? अरे
No,
भाई,
sir. Multi-vendor.
ऐसे ही कोई भी डिवाइस जो राउटिंग परफॉर्म कर सकता है उसके ऊपर में ठीक है. यहाँ some kind of security as well, but now here I have to increase the TTL value because I'm the genuine user, genuine network engineer, and I need to form BGP neighborship. So let me say neighbor 3.3.3.3 neighbor .3.3.3 and eBGP multihop. What should be the TTL value?
2.
Minimum TTL value should be. Then only traffic will reach to router number. Then on router number 3, neighbor 1.1.1.1 eBGP multihop.
2.
I have now BGP neighborship.
Yes.
Now we should have one message.
Up.
So guys, if here I am going to create one LAN, let's say loop back 10 IP address 10.1.1.1 55.255.255 dot, and on router number 3 also I am going to create one loop back interface loop back 1, sorry not 1, interface loop back 10 IP address I am going to say 30.1.1.1 255.255.255 dot 1.1.0 4 subnet dot 4.
Yes, sir.
Now I am going to advertise both subnet in. Go to router 1 first. Say router BGP number 100 and network 10.1.1.1 55.255.255 dot. So ask here.
So network address 1.1.0.
0.
Now on router number 3, so IP, here you can see 10 subnet is there. Next hop is 1.1.1. Okay. Exit router 300 and network 30.1.1. So mask 55.255.255 dot. So IP, both the subnets are there. So IP route BGP 10 subnet is there. R1 so IP BGP both the subnet are there, and so IP route BGP 37. Tell me, can 10.1 ping to 30.1? Ping
Yes.
30.1.1 source 10.1.1.1. Will ping work?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
How many of you are saying yes? All? Anyone with me who is saying no?
Sir, I am no, sir.
Sir, router.
Then tell me why no.
Sir, round trip TTL value less maybe.
Ping is not working. Now let's understand the packet flow. Source IP 10.1.1.1, destination IP.
Sir, I do not advertise that R1
Yeah,
details.
but absolutely. So router 1 is going to check routing table. So IP route 30.1.1.1 destination IP address. Yes, route is available. Next hop is 3.3.3.
3.3. Yes, sir.
But I need exit interface. Now I will check what. So IP route 3.3.3.3. Next hop is 12.2 exit interface is F0/0. Router 1 is going to forward it from interface, correct? Router 2 is going to again compare destination IP with routing table. So IP route 30.1.1.1. Route is there.
Yes, sir. Correct. OSPF not activated on that. Correct.
Next hop.
So sorry, can you repeat this again? The first one.
मैं बोल रहा हूँ कि ये पैकेट फ्लो है, पैकेट फ्लो.
Uh-huh.
Source IP 10.1, destination IP 30.1. You know, whenever router need to forward traffic, router compare destination IP with routing table, correct?
Correct.
So router 1 is going to run this command. So IP route 30.1. It will
ठीक
get
है
to
जी.
know about next hop 3.3.3. But router need exit interface. So now it is going to check exit interface for 3.3.3. So exit interface is F0/0. Next hop IP address is 12.2. Router 1 will forward it from this interface. Now router 2 is going to compare their routing table. Like compare destination IP there with their routing table. It will run show IP route 30.1.1.1. Is route available?
No.
So can router 2 forward it?
No.
Right?
No.
So same, router 2 don't have 10 subnet and 30 subnet, right? So guys, here MPLS comes in.
Picture.
Here what we have to enable? MPL. Okay. Don't worry about the working of MPLS because route is not there in routing table of router 2. And even I cannot inject route in the routing table of router 2 because guys, this is provider router for an example, right? Which is not going to install customer prefixes. The configuration of this router is so simple. Can only maintain, let's say, 100 number of prefixes in routing table, right? So what I want, router 2 should forward the traffic without checking routing table. So after enabling MPLS, these routers will start forwarding traffic on the basis of label.
Tags.
Tag.
Labels.
Yeah.
Okay, so we will talk about that tag or label later. For now, just I am going to enable the MPLS. Okay, to enable the MPLS, only you need to run one command here. Interface F0/0 IP
MPLS.
MPLS IP
जी.
MPLS. Go to router number 2, config T, interface F0/0 MPLS IP, and interface F1/0 MPLS IP. Then R3 config T, interface F0/0 MPLS. Now you can check the.
सर उससे पहले ये कहते हैं कि सेफ भी इनेबल करना पड़ता है.
So by
By
default
default
SAP
enabled.
enable होता है. By
Okay.
default enable. By
Okay.
default SAP is. Now you can see ping is working. But guys, route is still not there in the routing table of R2. So IP route 30.1.1.0 or 10.1.1.0. Route is not there. Then also router 2 is forwarding. Maybe this is magic for you now. But when you will learn the MPLS, then you will get what the forwarding. Our router 2 is forwarding the traffic. Okay.
Sir, for
Yes, sir.
that we did not need any IP mentioned there. For example, you mentioned IP, sorry, MPLS IP only.
No, no, nothing.
Yeah.
This
This was
command
just a
is
command
used to
to enable.
enable MPLS on F0/0 interface. That's it.
It means if I want to use that on fast Ethernet 1/0.
On that
So
interface also you have to run this command.
okay.
So sir, now in this case we can means configure as many as number of routes on R1 and R3
Yeah,
and
yeah,
it
yeah.
will be.
Correct. Now, if I will advertise lakhs of prefixes from router 1 to router 3, lakhs of prefixes, router 2 is not going to install any prefix, but there will be both can communicate, right? So what is our next target here? Now I am going to make this network to service provider network. I will consider R1 as P router, R2 is another P router. Let's say P1, P2. And now I'm going to connect here one router as a C router, here one router as a C router. I can advertise one LAN from here. One. See our next lab where we need to implement B. Here also we have to run some extra command and we will discuss those commands only, right? Because by default here also it will not work. Communication will not.
एमपी बीजीपी भी कुछ आएगा ना इसमें
MP भी बाद में आएगा, तो MPLS के बाद आएगा.
Sir, similar way, the same two ASP also they will exchange similar way, right, sir?
And we'll see allow AS in command. Some more commands are. After that, our next topic in BGP can be neighbor peer. We'll see. After that, I will start implementing. I have one lab for BGP.
सर उसका अभी वो बीजीपी का हमने थ्योरी वो नहीं किया सर टाइप ऑफ मैसेजेस वो बीजीपी स्टेट्स बेसिकली सर एक बार कैन यू ओपन राउट R1
R1 ओपन करना.
जी जी and type command show IP route 30.1.1.1
Dot 30.
yes sir so sir over here you can see मेरा question वही है कि it is known via BGP 100 right external BGP 3.3 right but sir वो ultimately तो it is reachable via OSPF right
30.1.1.1 is reachable by OSPF.
हाँ OSPF enable किया है हमने
कहाँ किया है?
R1
Not activated. OSPF not activated.
We did
Activate
not
किया है loopback पे.
advertise 13.
फिर 30 सबनेट को OSPF में नहीं
okay
एडवर्टाइज किया.
3 किया
3.3.3.
okay and show IP route 3.3.3
Dot.
So sir, 3.3 is my neighbor, right? From R1 to R3, right? But why it is saying that it is learned via OSPF?
You are checking the routing table of this router, global routing table. In the global routing table, route is there via OSPF. So OSPF it have done 3.3.3. Let's say 1.
Mm-hmm.
Because here I have enabled OSPF. Loopback interface on loopback 1, OSPF is enabled. On loopback 10, OSPF is not.
Just
Not
BGP में हमने network advertise किया, right?
advertise किया है और ये दो.
तो सर वो OSPF से learn क्यों हो रहा है फिर?
हाँ हो रहा है OSPF.
एक बार दोबारा पहला वाला हाँ BGP से learn क्यों हो रहा है?
BGP में ही तो एडवर्टाइज किया हूँ 30 का सबनेट.
ओके ठीक है सर मैं थोड़ा कंफ्यूज हो रहा ओके सर
1.1 and 3.3.3 के बीच में reachability कैसे है? Via OSPF.
OSPF
और 10.1.1.1 and 3.1.
BGP Mhm. Okay.
By the way, even router will not check routing table. IP everything. Going to check routing table. So IP route 30.1.1. First it will, there is recursive lookup. Yes or no?
Correct.
Recursive lookup. Router have to check routing table twice. So getting routing table forward traffic is very old process. Three types of forwarding on router.
Sir, can you put show IP route in R2? Just show IP route in the global routing table.
3.3 via 23.3 via OSPF. This would be 1.1 also via OSPF and all that connected and local.
Sir, I have one more question here. Hello, sir. Hello, sir. Yes, sir. Sir, I have one small doubt here. Now this R1 and R3, this directly connected via OSPF. That's why we run no neighbor. By default, the neighbor command we disable connected check we have enabled, right, sir?
We have disabled.
Because,
By default, it was enabled.
by default, so we have disabled it. But in previous scenario, it was two autonomous system. We mean two eBGP. That's why we don't touch this neighbor
No,
disable connector.
the previous scenario also we have disabled. For iBGP only we don't need to deal.
Yeah. This one little bit confused, sir. Please, this one clear.
R1, R2. If here I have look back 1.1.
Okay.
2. So 1.1.1 and 2.2 are not directly connected.
Correct.
Yes.
Here also you have to disable the, but 12.1 and 12.2 both are directly connected.
Directly connected. Okay. Okay.
So when we are defining the neighbor IP address, neighbor 12.1.1.2. Yes. On remote yes. 100. Router is going to check IP address is connected or
Directly.
it is connected, then only
It will form
will
neighborship.
send message.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Okay, sir. Sir, is it possible? Can you please can you upload this video today on Google Drive? Because tomorrow I'm going to site work CCTV. I don't, at that place I don't have internet, so I have to download it today.
Okay.
सर ये आप सारी वीडियोस यूट्यूब पे डाल रहे हो? सर मैं देख रहा था कि यूट्यूब पे भी नोटिफिकेशन आ रहा है हमें डेली क्लासेस का.
फिर पीछे
अच्छा.
वो लिंक से मत रहिएगा भरोसे से. कोई अगर ऐसा है कि वो लिंक के भरोसे बैठे हैं तो भाई चेक कर लो पीछे SPF का वीडियो अभी कोई. That is just a backup because I missed few moving the live classes. सो आपको वीडियो आपका मैं यूट्यूब पे भी नहीं अनलिस्टेड करके अपलोड करता हूँ, सिर्फ और सिर्फ ड्राइव पे। ड्राइव का अगर आपने डाउनलोड नहीं किया तो फिर तो आप किसी दूसरे से फिर हेल्प ले लेना, कोई डाउनलोड किया होगा तो, कि मेरे पास नहीं रहेगा। तो बेटर कि सेम डेज या नेक्स्ट डे तो 3-4 दिन में अपलोड कर लीजिए। जब तक ये फुल नहीं होता है तब तक वैसे मैं डिलीट नहीं। अभी इसमें शायद राउटिंग का पूरा वीडियो है ना,
हाँ सर अभी है।
डाउनलोड नहीं किया है तो सारा वीडियो यस लाइव वाला वीडियो रिमूव। And guys, for practice you guys can configure multiple neighborship also here, R1, R2 and R3, R4, right? Let's say here I am running iBGP on all the router AS number is 100. It's so I have one LAN here 10.1.1.0/24. R1 will advertise to R2 but R2 will not advertise to R2, R3. So you can form one iBGP neighborship here also. Then R1 will advertise to R3 but R3 will not advertise to R4. So you can configure one neighborship between R1 and R4. You can configure these kinds of scenario by yourself. These are the lab for practice. Practicing the basic configuration.
Sure sir.
If you will configure these kind of neighborship, then only I can teach you the peer group. Otherwise, you don't understand the requirement of peer group. Our next topic. आज ही स्टार्ट कर दूं?
नहीं अब तो हो गया सर टाइम।
कवर हो जाए।
अरे नहीं सर।
नहीं सर नहीं, बहुत हो जाता है।
Sir, there is one more CCNP batch started right last week. I saw the
उसमें
videos.
टाइमिंग भी सेम दिया सर, उसमें टाइमिंग भी देयर वाज सेम टाइमिंग ओनली।
वीक है ना, वीक डे।
ओके
आपको लोगों को लग रहा होगा जादू हो रहा है क्या, दो जगह पे क्लास ले रहे।
एग्जैक्टली।
पहला ऑल्टो का बैच था ना।
ओके
Sir, did you go through this yesterday, which I asked?
Videos.
There is a.
Go through that.
Okay. No issue, sir. Okay.
I have today also I have uploaded one video for the similar requirement.
Yeah.
Are you following that playlist, Karthi? Lots of
Yes, sir. I am
scenario-based questions are there.
every day. If I have time, really, I'm following.
Sir, today you have put 5 minutes video, right?
Best.
Correct, sir.
तो सब तो आप लोग को समझ में आता होगा ना।
हाँ सर।
अच्छा, जो क्वेश्चन पोस्ट करता हूँ पोल वगैरह, उसमें आप लोग पार्टिसिपेट करते हैं? Are you guys participating in YouTube poll?
Yes, sir.
Yes,
All
sir.
completely I'm participating.
Yes, sir.
Great. Participate. The bada video, whenever I am uploading the lengthy video, length is let's say 2 hours or 1 hour, then you don't need to watch. The video length is around 10 minutes only for you guys.
Sir, on the posted, yeah, on the posted today you have asked on today or yesterday you have asked on question 6.
I don't know about the poster. Actually, someone else is uploading the poster.
Okay, sir. I ask just this question, small question. There is a secure data transmission protocol, SSH or FTP or some other you have mentioned. There's one little bit confusion, SSH and FTP. Which one is a secure data transfer protocol?
The option?
The answer. SSH and FTP, there are some other protocols, 4 protocols you have mentioned. That which is the question is what is the secure data transmission protocol. Because there is a word data transmission, that's why I confuse.
Answer should be then also SSH only. I will guess. I will
Okay,
guess
sir.
then SSH.
There is a SFTP also, it's data transmission, sir, securely.
FTP also file transfer protocol. FTP was there or TFTP was there, and what were the other
SFTP.
options?
I forgot really, I'm sorry. Yes. That's why I confused, then I don't make a vote.
So there was
I,
the question on
I guess that question was wrong, or options was wrong, different that time. I also forget the options
Okay.
now, but I also skip that poll.
can might be possible.
Yeah, answer.
Arun is posting the poster questions, right? He's even
I
the
thought answer would be SFTP. I think that option was not there.
then question was. I will
I
ask
guess
to
so.
Arun, right? He will actually he is also in learning phase only.
Mhm.
The CCNA CC copy other post might be possible on the internet. So many things are wrong.
Yes, sir.
If you are going to search LSA Saban of OSP app, right? More than 1,000 website will come. You are going to check the answer after just skipping 20 websites, right? Top 20 website. Incorrect answer.
Sir, the question is, which protocol is commonly used for secure data transmission over the internet? 4 options: FTP, HTTP, SSH, Telnet.
HTTPS, sir. HTTPS.
HTTPS.
No, HTTP there is no.
HTTPS no option was there.
Only FTP, HTTP, SSH, Telnet.
Question
SSH.
is,
Over the
question is,
internet
you know,
is
is CCNA 200301 exam question. Question is correct, brother. Answer of this question is SSH. Here it is talking about which data? Management plane data.
Oh,
Management
Yeah,
so
plane
that's the
that's
data
word.
mean
means
like
Only
the
data
data
transmission confused.
to access the remote device something, na?
yeah.
This
Yeah,
is
I
for
guess
secure
Whenever
that's
user
connection, no,
is
sir.
sharing
SSH.
traffic for device.
SSH. That's to be, I guess.
SSH is the
Okay,
right
okay.
answer. And this is CCNA 200301 exam question. If anyone have dumps, you can check there.
Okay.
But sir, SSH is for secure connection only, no?
No,
Yeah,
no.
that's why I
SSH
doubt.
is used to access networking devices remotely.
Yes.
To
Yeah.
transfer the data also.
So how
Remote
you are going
connection
to
only.
access the devices? How you are going to access the devices? First, your PC is going to send some kind of request to the destination device. So it is talking about that data transfer.
Mm-hmm. Okay, sir.
So guys, in the exam question, every time language is going to confuse you.
Yeah.
In 2 day back also I told you this. That only you need to understand the language to pass the exam. That's it. Otherwise, all the questions are so easy. But their language, they are not going to ask you directly question. Even from the subnetting, like question can be how many network I can design from class A, and most of the people are thinking to the power 8. Right? Directly will answer here to the power 8 network is possible in class A. But guys, this is again incorrect answer.
Yes, sir. You are correct. Because of the only one word, secure data transmission, much
When it
confused.
will talk about HSRP protocol, they can use port number. So with the help of port number, you have to identify it is talking about RP protocol. If it is talking about port number 179, that means it is talking about BGP.
BGP.
If it
Yes.
is talking about protocol number 17, that means it is talking about If
Mm.
if the question is which protocol is more reliable and port number is 6 and 17, what will be your answer?
6 and 17.
More
Protocol
reliable.
number.
Yes.
So
Protocol
6
number
I
is
think 6.
किसका है?
TCP
option
protocol number 6.
6 is more reliable, right? So if you don't know the TCP uses protocol number 6, then you cannot answer. See, this question is wrong. So for guys, any type of communication, there is data transfer. For any type of communication. Later you will understand types of traffic as well. Control plane traffic, management plane traffic, and data plane traffic. Telnet and SSH also we have data transfer. Anyone have idea how SSH is secure? Secure than Telnet. I am saying SSH. What is the
सर
difference?
उसमें RSA
Encryption.
की blocking
Encryption.
RSA की भी जरूरी
रहता है डेटा है
Yes, sir, encryption.
आपको इंक्रिप्शन वगैरह के बारे में पता नहीं, बट इंक्रिप्शन सबके लिए एल्गोरिथम से AES S3
MD5.
MD5 is has algorithm, right? Calculate has value.
Right.
Provide in the second
SHA as well.
the
As well.
basic. That's all for today from here.